And it takes a bit longer for this to get its shit together. All right, there we go. It says I'm live, so I'm going with it. Welcome from the crossroads of America. Talk show about guns, politics, or anything else that crosses my mind. Answer questions from the audience, either in the chat or by email at rickslifeasiseeit@gmail.com or spottedrick@gmail.com. I got a Patreon page, PayPal, all that other stuff is down there in the info section if you're interested. So there we go. People are slow today. I've only got one person in the chat. Oh, no. Sabrina's showing up. How you doing, Sabrina? We got Southpaw in the chat. We got Sabrina. Black Cat Outdoors is there. And that's it for right now. So I said they don't, unless I found out the only way to get notified that your show's on is you've got to go in and change your notifications in Google in itself. Then YouTube will notify you. Not by email. They will put a banner up on the YouTube page, or like on my cell phone, it will make a noise telling me that somebody that I subscribe to has uploaded a video. That's the only way I figured it out, because YouTube will not email anybody anymore. The only person they email now is, like today, in about 5 minutes, I'll get an email telling me I went live. But,
Really? You get a YouTube? I never get that. A YouTube email telling me I went live.
Yeah, I do.
Hey, I don't get that.
G-Webs is here. How you doing? Anyway, let me introduce my panel. Up here in the top corner on my screen, I got Black Cat Outdoors. How you doing? Just say hi. Put the beer down.
I'm trying to unmute, damn it. Doing fine.
Okay.
Getting home from work here.
All right. Then we got the New York Outcast. How you doing?
You've got mail.
Doing well. Thanks for having me. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Okay, there you go. From YouTube, now live on your channel. Rick's Life as I See It. Gone live. See, I told you I get an email from him. It's the only one I get an email from now is my own show. Don't get an email from anybody else's.
That's funny.
Okay, then the other guy from New York is Blind Shooter. How you doing?
Right now, I'm doing good. If I keep following these instructions, however, Black Cat's going to have to give me a beer.
I got you covered, man.
Thank you, sir.
So, all right. So that's it at the moment. Of the people who see who else shows up, I can hang in there. Anyway, topics. My main thing is President Donald Trump now has 2 nominations for the Nobel Peace Prize. For those peace deals he's brokered. Is that the correct word? I mean, do you think he's going to win them? What do you think?
I hope so, just to watch people's heads explode. He's freaking hilarious.
It doesn't take much anymore to get one of those. Why not?
Yeah, I agree with you. But I mean, when Obama got his, he did absolutely nothing. He only got one because he became president of the United States. I don't know what that had to do with world peace, but at least Trump's done something. To be nominated. Oh, that's the way I look at it. What about you, Blind Shooter?
I know he's getting the nominee for the peace talks with Israel. What's the other one for?
Oh, hang on. No. It's I read it a minute ago. What was it? It was some other deal he just. Oh yes, for the Serbia Kosovo deal. Kosovo.
I think the Israel thing probably would be a little bit more legitimate.
Right, that's what I was
saying. Although
like,
I seriously doubt that'll last.
Yeah.
I mean, if he does go, though, it's going to be hilarious to watch all the Democrats and liberals go crazy.
Oh, their heads are going to explode. You know, it's already going to explode when he wins. You know. My next question, since we're on Donald Trump, is, last few weeks we've talked about the third party thing. If you got people who say, well, if you live in a state that is totally, always Democrat, it's been Democrat since the day the state was formed. Like, I think New York has been Democrat ever since day one, hasn't it?
I think we had like one Republican governor at some point in life, but that's about it.
Yeah, but normally when it comes to the president, normally the electoral votes have been Democrat ever since the electoral college has been invented.
Oh yeah, pretty much. And the funny thing is, I think it was Fox News had it the other day. I don't know if Elcast saw it, but they were going over what states Donald Trump would win and what states he wouldn't. They're like, oh, he's not going to win New York. No Republican ever fucking won New York.
I know. But where I'm going with this is, so people who live in that state say, well, I don't like Donald Trump, so I might as well just vote for the independent or whatever. But if you still vote, or even if you're a Trump supporter and you say, why bother to vote because the Republicans ain't going to win the state, you should win, because what we need to really shaft it to them is not only win the college, but win the popular vote as well. Because Hillary won it by 2 million. Didn't you win it by 2 million more than Trump? So, how many people didn't vote that way because they said, oh, well, the state's not going to go that way anyway.
Yeah, a friend of mine in Hawaii said the same thing. He said he's going to vote to help the popular vote, even though he knows Hawaii will vote Democrat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I don't think you should waste that vote. Go ahead and vote for Trump if that's what you're going to do, because it will help with the popular vote. It'd be great if he could win the popular vote and the college. Then people can say, well, see, we told you so. But we'll see.
What are the odds of Trump winning, actually?
Do what?
I was going to say, what are the odds of him actually winning, though?
The Las Vegas says it's better than 51%.
Well, that Trump's going to win?
Yeah.
Oh, I think Trump's going to win. I don't have no doubt.
Yeah, whatever the poll says, I think you have to add 5 points onto it just because people are not going to out themselves as a Trump voter.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think people are going to vote. That's what they think is going to happen, is all these people who want Trump to win but live in places that are very left-leaning, don't give out their political view, but when they're going to vote for Trump. And that's how he's going to win. Is it the silent majority is what they're calling it? I think there's, besides your New York City, Los Angeles, those, Chicago, those big cities, outside of their bubbles, the rest of America doesn't think like they do.
Yeah, Cato or Pew did a poll of people that would not give their point of view, and it was 62% will not give their political identity right now. That's a pretty high number when you think about it.
Yeah. I'm just reading the chat. Sorry, G-Webs is a number of voters is not a factor because of cities, so why bother to affect a non-important number? Well, I don't know. I think winning the popular vote lets the country know that, you know, they do like him. They do like the person who won, you know?
There's another factor, too. You know, a lot of these cities, they don't even run a Republican. I mean, there hasn't been a Republican run in Baltimore in 50 years or something like that. In that one lady's congressional district, the lady in the red dress.
Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, you're right there, but I just think, you know, if there's no Republican to vote for, then you're going to have to go for the. But I mean, really, to me, if I'm looking at each candidate as I go down the thing, if there isn't a Republican, or if there isn't, if a Republican's not running and there's an independent, I'll go for the independent. But if there's nobody, but if the Democrat is running uncontested, I just leave it blank. Personally, myself.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, that's how I normally do it. So, anyway, G-Web says almost half of eligible voters do not vote in any given year. You know,
that's true.
That is true. That is true. Which is a shame, really. Which is a shame because, you know, voting for people who to represent you, I think, is an important thing.
It is, but I look at it this way. You got to remember, there's too many people out there. I don't want to say it. You're an absolutist. Like, this guy has to absolutely agree with 100% of everything I agree on, or I'm not voting. And you're never going to get that. I look at it as I've never agreed 100% with any candidate, I don't think, in any election that I've ever voted before. You know?
No,
that's going back a long freaking time.
Same here. I mean, the issues that I'm interested in, if they're going the way I go, then I'll vote for them. You know, like, I mean, and I'm going to be honest. This time, I mean, the last couple of times, it had, I mean, 2A has been my main thing. You know
me too. That's been my main thing too, but it puts you in strange places when you have beliefs that don't. How I want to say it. All right, I voted pro 2A for some pretty conservative Republicans that I probably do not agree with on most social issues, or, you know, like most of them are anti-legalization of marijuana. I would be pro that. Most of them are anti-gay marriage. I would be for that. You know, you got to kind of balance, you know, it's what's important to you.
Yeah, true.
The 2A has taken precedent for me for a lot of stuff just because that's under attack more than a lot of other stuff.
Yep, I agree with you on that. You know, also, I think today's society, people on both sides, no matter what political leaning you have, and unfortunately, I'm trying to think of the word. Is the average American person, I wouldn't even say this is an American thing. I think it's a human thing. Or lazy is not the right word, but they you know, make somebody else making all the decisions for them, being taken care of. You know, and that's where big government comes in. Eventually, the big government will be telling you what you can and cannot do, like it does in some other countries. You know,
I wouldn't call it lazy. I would call it apathy. people are just so used to, how do I want to say it, that they're all the same. And it really is true. I mean, most of it, everybody's, you have your far right and your far left, but most everybody in the middle is pretty generically the same on issues. People are just used to, oh, well, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I'm going to get screwed from one side or the other side. So I think that's kind of it. More being apathetic than lazy, I think.
People are kind of like water in the sense of following the path of least resistance. They prefer to do what's easy in a sense. Most
people, but being free,
great results for a little bit of work in some cases, or they don't. What's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, I just was thinking too many things at once and just
okay. Well, I was going to say, our freedom, our liberty, right? Isn't, you just can't. You can't. What's happening is people are turning that over to the government because they can't be bothered to get off their fat asses and go vote.
They're free to stand out. Sorry, I don't want to jump in.
As I find it, your liberty shouldn't be given away, and that's what's happening. People are just giving it away because they just think, oh, the government will take care of that. The government. You keep giving shit to the government, eventually the government will have it all and they'll be telling you what to do, where to go, where to work, how much you're earning, what doctor you can see.
Yeah, it's like, well, I like what Rob D said. It's, a matter of the path of least resistance. People don't pay attention to politics anymore mainly because things are running were running so well. I don't know if they are at the moment or not, but stuff just kind of kept moving forward. So I don't know. We'll see how this election does, but I think there's some people that are waking up a little bit to the fact that stuff can go bad,
Oh yeah. Yeah. What was that? Arnold, what were you saying?
No, I agree.
Okay. Yeah. So we got it's definitely going to be an election to remember, I think, with everything going on. And now, do you think the COVID thing is going to die out after the election?
No.
COVID's here to stay forever. It's just how
it is. Thank you. Yes, that's you're one of the few people that I heard say that out loud. But yeah, I've said that out loud for a while now. It's a freaking virus. It's not going anywhere. We're gonna have COVID season along with flu season now.
That's right, and and the virus is going to mutate.
Yeah,
but just like the flu does,
Yeah, it is what it is. That was always my big thing. You have people out there that don't think it's like a real thing, and people out there that you have so many different, how do I want to say it? There's so many different parts of thought on it, but yeah, it's a virus that's not going anywhere. So no, I don't think it's going to go away, but I'm really afraid of what has been set as precedent for it. Like, what happens when the next, swine flu comes around? Are we going to lock everything down and not let people travel? You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. We gave away so much of our liberty and freedom because we didn't put up a fight about it. That means they can do it again. And then this leads on to my next topic that I had, since we're going that direction. G-Web says we don't have a SARS season. You're right. We don't. But we soon could. They can start saying, well, you can't travel now because of SARS.
The difference between, how do I want to say this? COVID is the same kind of virus as SARS. It works the same kind of way. But SARS is the same idea as like, why you don't have the Ebola season or Hante virus season. I know I pronounced that wrong, but it kills people so quickly that it can't spread. COVID actually has the ability. COVID is like SARS that is actually spreadable. You know what I mean? But it doesn't have the death rate that SARS does.
But the problem is the way it was portrayed as this deadly virus. Yes, I mean, it's unfortunate that people die from it. But there's more of a success, a recovery rate than there is a death rate.
And the recovery rate has improved greatly since March as well.
Yeah. But did you see why people still listen to that Fauci or whatever, how you pronounce his damn name?
Anthony Fauci, yeah.
You hear what he said today? Or was it yesterday? Yeah. That people can't go into a theater to at least the vaccine's been out for a year. So you're telling me the movie, I mean, not that I care because they're a bunch of assholes anyway, but the movie industry is just, hey, you're not making any movies for another year? You know?
I'm going to go on
streaming services.
I'm reading the comments here, but like Bert Giwed says, bird flu swine flu didn't have a season, and H1N1. Honestly, a lot of the flu that we get now is a strain of H1N1, but it's mutated to the point where it's not as deadly as it was. Like H1N1 is still out there. It's just mutated, and this might mutate to that point too.
The longer they're around, the less fatal they become.
Right. You develop a herd immunity. Once most people have had it, you get. Well, it's not most people, but once a majority of people have had it, you start to develop a herd immunity to a disease. So you start to get antibodies built up to it, and it's not as deadly as when it first comes around.
Yeah. Then of course you get the people say, "Well, you can catch it again. You can catch the flu 2 or 3 times too."
I would like to see a study on how many people caught it a second time and what the mortality rate is on the people that caught it a second time, because I'm betting it is way lower than the mortality rate on the time people first get it.
Oh yeah. Fauci's never going to let you know those results, though.
No, because it doesn't fit their narrative.
Exactly.
What about all the false positives? Are those ever corrected when they come out negative?
I don't know.
Well, it's hard. It's hard to say because it depends on which test you're using. I seriously have been looking into this.
No, my mom was tested.
Yeah.
She just turned 80, and she was came out positive. They locked her in a room for 3 weeks and wouldn't give her a second test until a month later, and then it came out negative, and not only negative, but she never had it negative.
Yeah.
Rich White says, I know a person who gets the flu shot and gets the flu every year. Some people do, because when you get the flu shot, it's set for a particular what they think is going to be the main strain that's going to hit this year. But it could be
guessing.
That's a different strain, and that flu shot you had doesn't help you one little bit. Yeah,
they're guessing about which strains are going to be the most common. That doesn't mean that it covers which is the reason why I don't know if a COVID shot will even be, because they already know COVID's mutated. So if you look at the history of stuff, there's never been a successful vaccine against coronavirus because it mutates quickly.
Yeah. Now we're talking about the coronavirus, and they're talking about when it comes out, making it mandatory that you have to have the vaccine shot, right? And people are all up in arms about that. I mean, I would be a bit dubious about a vaccine that's coming out that fast. I'm not saying it can't be done, and there wouldn't be any problems with it. But they've already got a point. I mean, I haven't had kids in school in 20 odd years, so things might have changed. But then I remember my kids had to have certain shots before they'll be accepted to go to school.
Yeah.
Is that still the same?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
So if the government says you will take this virus shot, it's all you're making your kids take it. So why can't you take it? You know,
like necessarily you don't have to comply to that. So if you want to send your kids to public school, you do. So
well, there's also a difference. There's also a difference between what some of those shots are for and the type of virus they are.
And how long
viruses? Yeah, viruses are an entire.
Are, you know, something like this, a vaccine this quick is not a normal thing technically. So it's
you're right.
Not tested. It's there needs to be a time period so they can actually study results of these things. But so to mandate people to take it, I don't think that's ever gonna. They could try all they want, but I guarantee there's gonna be people freaking out everywhere.
Yeah,
people
I mean,
freak about the ones that are already out because of the mercury and because of
and it's stupid.
Not stem cell, baby DNA stuff in it. And, people are already freaked out, so you try to force it on them just like that. It's
well, I don't know.
A lot of that is kind of stupid stuff too, though, that people freak out about because of the age we live in.
But when you look at some of this stuff, like when you refer like to Gardasil, what was in that? I mean, they're still talking about lawsuits of that right now. A lot of this stuff you're not supposed to put in your body. Any other product wouldn't be approved to have heavy metals and things like that put in your body.
But you look at some things like what the anti-vaxxer movement, bitch. Anti-vaxxers piss me off. I'm sorry, but the way that you look at it is like they'll bitch about mercury. If you eat a fish out of any river in the United States, you get like 4 times as much mercury as you will from any shot that still uses mercury in it. It's not even used universally anymore. The difference between that and like the flu shot or what this corona shot will be the way in which the viruses work. They're entirely different families of viruses. Like coronaviruses are, the common cold is a coronavirus. It actually is a type of coronavirus. I mean, that's an entire, if you know taxonomy at all, that's an entire family. It's not just like a species or, stuff like that. It's a huge grouping of viruses, and we've never successfully come up with a shot with that, which is why you don't have a shot for the common cold, because they mutate really rapidly, whereas something like measles doesn't mutate that rapidly. It works the same way almost every time. So you can come up with a vaccine that stops it,
Yeah. I mean, see, that's another thing what you said about the people who are against vaccines for their kids and stuff. Some of these diseases that have been eradicated are coming back.
Yeah.
Because the kids aren't being vaccinated for them.
Polio is a good example of that.
Polio, measles, smallpox, they're all things that are starting to make a comeback because people have, in the modern era, are suddenly questioning the stuff that's been going on for hundreds of years, not hundreds, decades, we've known this stuff for decades.
I'm just waiting to see if the hard right-leaning gun groups will start using the mandatory vaccine to our advantage and turn around and say, well, okay, if you guys are saying we all need the vaccine because it's going to keep us from dying, let's make the same argument of that.
Oh, we lost it. He lost
YouTube didn't like where he was going, right?
No, I kicked him out.
The YouTube masters just killed him. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but it's what were we talking about? Yeah, but the vaccines, so I think it's asinine that people don't take them.
But the conspiracy theorists are also on to Bill Gates, and he's on tape many times talking about sterilization for the world, and if he's going to have a big play in this kind of vaccine, there's always going to be that fear and doubt that he's putting something dangerous in there.
Yeah, but that's conspiracy theory bullshit.
It is. Who cares what Bill Gates has to say?
Of vaccines and things going bad. So, I mean, everybody, has their own opinions for their own reasons. But I think, until you experience things yourself, That's
but even some of those they have today for like chicken pox, smallpox, polio, right? I mean, they're considered safe, and hundreds of millions of people take them. But it could, like if you take it, it could adversely affect you. So what do we do? Take them off the market because one person dies from the injection?
Well, hold on. There is a epidemic of kids coming out with this. What is that? That illness or I can't think of the word of it. Autism. Almost 11% of kids have autism, especially boys.
Yeah, but if you're trying to link that to vaccines, that's ridiculous.
That's been disproven. That it's not linked.
No, it wasn't. The test wasn't accurate because the way they administered it, there was no blind.
No. You can't do a blind test on something like that. That would be completely unethical. But
well, hold on. There's thousands of families, probably 1 million families that refuse to do it. So you could easily do a blind test.
No, you cannot do a blind test on that. It's completely unethical. You're talking about giving somebody a vaccine against measles and then not giving somebody a vaccine against measles and then giving them measles, which kills
but we're talking about comparing the people
that
we're talking about the people that refuse to have the kids' vaccine versus the ones that don't. Why don't we look at those records? Because
how are you going to be able to tell anything from those records? Because the point of the matter is, wait a minute. Point of the matter is,
has anybody done a study? Hold on. Has anybody done a study of non-vaccine kids versus vaccine kids? No, they refuse to do that. They say it's unethical. But there's records out there of millions of kids that never got their vaccines. What population of autism do they have? That's my question.
Because that's not a valid study. Can I just say something? Do you realize that the correlation is on this study, because I looked at it, because I have kids, that the rate of autism among children went up at the same time that we start having ways of diagnosing autism earlier. We're back to being able to diagnose autism to when a child is less than like 3 years old, which is when they get most of their vaccines. So when you can diagnose it earlier, it usually correlates with when they're getting most of their vaccines. There's absolutely 100% no correlation between the actual vaccine and autism. That's been proven false 20 years ago.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've seen kids that are so autistic they can't even go to school. They cannot talk. Noise and light bothers them ferociously. I mean,
that's not. So you've seen a kid like that. What I'm saying is the study does not show that they have any kind of correlation to the actual vaccine. It's at the time of diagnosis is what the correlation is, which you can't make any kind of moment about it. The only study that showed anything to do with that was the Wakefield study, which was debunked 20 years ago almost now.
Yeah. Rich White says in the chat, the British scientists that did the study on vaccine caused autism admitted to lying and has had his medical license stripped. He used
that's the Wakefield study.
Vaccines to autism.
That's the Wakefield study I was talking about. That's the only one.
Yeah. So that blows the anti-vaccine people out of the water right there. But Rich says also whooping cough was the first disease to start making a comeback because of the anti-vaccine crowd.
That might be true.
Anyway, Blind Shooter made it back in. You want to say what you were going to say?
I was just going to say, At some point, are the extreme pro-Second Amendment groups going to start using the mandatory vaccine argument to get us, like, let's say national reciprocity or concealed carry statewide, nationwide? Because right now, I mean, I don't know about everyone else's state, but here in New York City, they're saying, you need the vaccine because it's a health concern and it's going to save your life. Couldn't we turn right around and say, well, we also need concealed carry because that'll save your life?
It's a good argument.
I see the argument, but it ain't going to work.
I don't think it's a good argument because the vaccines don't save life. There's no, they may help in some cases or it may avoid something. You can't state because you didn't have this, you would have died on this day due to this.
No, but you can say a
At
percentage of
most
people
them only
died.
work 20%. I mean, it's just they're not like a instant cure where you take a shot, boom, you're fixed. It doesn't work like that. And then you have a lot of people with other health effects that the pros don't outweigh the cons to take half of these vaccinations. People with asthma, they shouldn't be getting flu shots. There's a lot of stuff that people just kind of overlook. Like just on general for
I got all
average,
kinds of
it may be
issues. I get a
fine for
flu
most
shot.
people, but to mandate that everybody does it, you're out of your freaking mind.
I have a lot of issues. I get the flu shot.
Well, you should.
Why?
Maybe you should look into it more because it actually makes you have more asthmatic attacks. So if you're very bad asthmatic, it's a bad deal.
Wait a minute. Have you gotten more asthmatic attacks after your flu shot?
I've never had an asthmatic attack.
Well, there you go. There's proof.
Don't sound like very asthmatic to me then.
Yeah. He said it was asthmatic.
That's a point. That's not proof.
The doctor's often.
When I was a fat kid in school, I used to claim asthma too, so I didn't have to run the track.
I mean, when people meet me, even doctors meet me, I get asked a lot, do you have asthma? Because I breathe very heavy and I breathe through my mouth. I don't breathe through my nose. Because my nose is, when I was a kid, I was meant to have them, what's the word for it, when they stick the thing up there and, make the hole bigger or whatever. I refuse to have it done. So I can't breathe through my nose that well. So I breathe through my mouth. So I'm sitting here, and people, if I'm sitting in a room with you guys and nobody's saying a word, all you'll hear is me breathing. I breathe that heavy. I'm quite surprised my microphone doesn't pick it up. So, but I'm not asthmatic though. But even people think I am. So, anyway, it's all conspiracy theory. But am I going to take the coronavirus vaccine when it comes out? I doubt it because I believe if I catch it, I'm not going to die. I mean, it's the same with the flu. I'm not going to die from the flu either. I just take it because I'm in the doctor's office. He said it's flu shot time. I said, whatever. The nurse comes in, jabs me in the arm, I go home. What's the big deal?
This is like medical pre-crime in a sense, where you're going to, in some cases, do stuff ahead of time.
If you can't trust your doctor, who can you?
Your bookie.
I guess, I will admit, I trust my doctor more than the average American does. Maybe because that was the way I was brought up in England. The doctor is somebody.
And there's a problem right there. Everybody has a medical opinion when they never went to medical school.
Like in England, way back, I remember, was it my father or my uncle, one of the shotgun, right? And you have to get somebody like listed, a doctor, a judge, to sign the paperwork, right? Because doctors are held that high in England, where they were. And so I guess that's in my mindset. So when I come here and see the doctor, and he says, "Oh, you need this." Okay. He must know what he's talking about. He's a doctor. I'm not. You know? Is that wrong of me?
Not necessarily, but you also got to look at when they say they're practicing. Just because they're practicing doesn't mean they're legit. I can practice being a plumber doesn't mean I am a licensed plumber.
Yeah, I see.
No.
Hey, but then again, see now that my son is going to medical school to be a doctor, right? I might start questioning. I might say to him, "This is what my doctor said. Is he right or wrong?" You know. So, see, but your family can't treat you anyway, can they? Is it legal?
I don't believe that's illegal.
I don't think it's illegal. I think, what if there's only one doctor in town?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just curious. You know. So, all right. Where are we moving on? Moving on. What's my next thing here? Talked about the vaccine. We talked about Trump and his Nobel Peace Prize. You know.
God, I hope he wins. That'll be great.
No, yeah. I think he's going to.
I don't even care. I just want to see their heads explode.
I'll be very upset if Biden wins. The world as we know it is going to change. It really is.
Well, yeah, we'll have our first woman president because Biden ain't going to make it more than 6 months.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Then we're going to have hair. You know, and you know. And look, I mean, giving a blow job got her to the top job in the world, you know? So.
Hey, on the Nobel Peace Prize, I missed the first part. He also is bringing together Bahrain and normalizing relationships with Bahrain and Israel, too.
So he might even get nominated for a third one. Yeah. Yeah. I think he should. He's done more, as I said at the beginning. I feel he's done more than what Obama did to win it. Obama just won it because he was the first black president, and he was going to save the world. All he done was destroyed our country.
And in reality, he wasn't even really black.
You know, you know. So. Yeah, we won't go there, but and of course Michelle Obama's a guy anyway. Michael, you know.
Oh God! Now that's a conspiracy theory. Although I think Kamala Harris might have sucked his dick.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what about where is he? Blind shooter. Didn't your top cop resign in New York City?
Yep.
Why?
That depends on which conspiracy theory you want to go with. Some were saying that he didn't like the way the mayor was leading the NYPD, and then others are saying that he had too many skeletons in the closet, and if he didn't resign, they were going to come out.
What do you think it was?
I want to say it was a combination of both. I mean, in order to get to all these top chief positions, you have to have connections. So even if you didn't do anything, today's day and age, you know somebody that did something illegal and morally, ethically wrong, so it's going to come back to bite you in the ass anyway.
Oh, yeah. Because I can see, talking about that, I know slightly different people, but what's her name from Full House or whatever? That picture with her husband's hand on her breast when he's got his arm around her shoulder and it's resting on her breast. She'll more than likely be kicked off of Hallmark movies now, you know, because that's a no-go. That's where I was going, like you say, skeletons in the closet or to do anything. I mean, today the world, I mean, I won't get anywhere because of some of the stuff in my past that's totally innocent, but in today's world, it's totally wrong. You know? But Rich White says Obama was more black than Kamala Harris. Oh, yeah. Actually, Kamala Harris is not actually black.
She's Caribbean.
Doesn't she have a... Is it... I'm trying to think. It's... What's the word I'm looking for?
I believe she's part Indian, isn't she?
That was it, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, her mother's
Asian.
Yeah, her mother's Indian, and her father's from Jamaica.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the funny thing is, like, here in New York, like, you can go around, ask any Jamaican, "Are you black?" And they're like, "No, we're not black. We're Caribbean. Don't call us black."
Yeah, but do those Caribbeans want to be paid money for being slaves? Are they joining the bandwagon?
Well, technically, if they're from Jamaica, they weren't slaves ancestry here. They were probably slaves in Jamaica. That's kind of how Jamaica was founded.
I mean, was it just BS? But didn't somebody say, if you look back on Kamala Harris's family tree, they were slave owners in Jamaica?
It may have been.
You know?
I've heard that multiple times. I'm not sure if it's true.
I'm not sure if it's true or not, but see, that's another thing with this. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this country has gone absolutely stupid. You know, I mean, it's a shame. I mean, it's still the best country in the world, and yes, we did things wrong. You know, but but once it's been pointed out it's wrong, we normally change. I mean, good example. I mean, when they segregation, is that the word I'm looking for? Back in the 60s, when they, started, you see that college, what college was it? Had separate classes for whites and another class for colored. We're fucking going backwards. You know? I don't understand it because they don't teach this stuff, so history is repeating itself. You know, it's diabolical, really. But I still say this is still the best country in the world to live in. You know, and if it wasn't, as I've said this many times, millions of people wouldn't be trying to get visas to come live here if it was that bad. And you wouldn't have that many people down on the southern border trying to cross illegally if it wasn't a great country to live in. You know? The reason they're coming here is because where they're coming from is crap. And all those people, and I don't care if people died for you to have the right to say what you say, but if you say you hate America, get the fuck out. You know, even though I a lot of times I do my British thing on you guys, I have never ever traveled. I've never ever had a British passport. I've always said I was American, even though I might talk like a Brit. You know, and so I mean I've always said this is the best country. When I was a kid and we traveled, and every time my dad got stationed here in the States, I loved it. You know?
Hey, it's all right, Rick. We took care of that problem with the British 234 years ago.
I know. You know? But yeah, we let your colonials win.
Sure.
We had too much other shit going on around the world. You know?
Hey, Rick, have you heard about Trump stopping the classes in critical race theory?
Say that again now?
Trump stopped government-sponsored classes in critical race theory.
Well, that's good. Now, good or bad? I think it's good.
I don't even know what critical race theory is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a kind of a Marxist theory that that all white people are racist. So in these government classes, they would separate the whites and blacks, and they'd make the white people write apology letters to anybody they might have offended. And if they said they were never racist, that meant they were racist. So it's kind of like those Salem witch trials as well.
Now, No, wait a minute. I think I've offended way more white people in my life than black people. But I don't know. Rob D, you want to comment?
I don't know. I personally think that class is a joke and shouldn't be a class or something that's funded anyway. So I would agree with Trump on that. So I don't know.
What I want
People
to
got
know,
to move on from things here, and a lot of people, will use color. A lot of white people have been very pleasant to me. That have argued and fought, for me in the past. So everybody's not the same. So I don't understand, what that would have to do with a kid today. Anyway, it seems like the people who put that in place are the ones that need a lesson.
yeah. I mean, I'm not saying. I mean, touched. I know I'm going slightly off topic here, sort of, but on there is. I'm not saying there's not any racism in America. There is, but it's a lot better than what it used to be, and it's getting better all the time. That's my opinion.
Using it as a handicap. That's the problem. And keeping something like that going is just keeps the problem going. Same thing if you struggle at reading or something. You don't just throw a crutch in there. You work harder. You do better. You do what you got to do. You fight through things. So,
So what? That's another thing.
My mom didn't love me enough for that as an excuse.
Come on, Rob. That's just the white privilege part of you talking.
No, it's just, grow a pair. You are what you make yourself. You're not, I don't know. You can't use all that as a hindrance, or you weren't loved or held enough, so I'm gonna be my whole life and stuff. That's like
you're sounding like
when you drink. It only happens when you're drunk. Well, you're still an asshole. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It doesn't make it okay.
You're sounding like some horrible racist people, like Dr. King.
Sorry.
Yeah. What I want to know is, how do people get through school without even being known how to read properly or write
Play football.
No child left behind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's bullshit. I mean, I think it's funny too. Is like what they call it, cursor writing. Some kids don't even know how to do it or can't even read it.
Well, they don't teach it anymore. I've got twins that are 9-year-old, and they don't teach cursive at all.
Why? Because we've got a computer screen in front of you now.
Good. Schools got to look good. When people start struggling, they try to come up with crutches to keep things looking good. Or else it creates problems that they don't want. So it seems. So
look how old I am. I write with a fountain pen.
Oh,
they don't have to learn the multiplication table.
Huh?
Here they don't even do homework anymore because too many kids
today,
wouldn't do it, so it made it look bad on the scores and for the state. So therefore, they just X'd homework instead of telling people, get on your kids, because that ain't gonna work.
Yeah. Well, the education system sucks right now. That needs to change. That's the big thing Trump should look into. Is getting schools back to where they belong.
Yeah, there's more than 6.
Used to be teaching the 3 R's, writing, reading, and arithmetic.
There's more than 5,000 schools that are using that 1614 educational on history from the New York Times.
Oh yeah. Oh, and that's needs to go too. That is diabolical, I think.
Yeah, it's another Marxist teaching brought into the public schools.
Oh yeah. It's it is. It's and by the time they get to college, colleges don't even allow it don't even allow free speech anymore. You know?
That's the sad part there. When I was in college, that was when you could actually express yourself.
No,
I remember.
you can't express yourself, and you're the bad guy if you disagree with somebody. You know, if you disagree with the majority of people in your crowd, it's you that is wrong. You know, and the way I look at it, you know,
What
just
if you're
'cause you're
standing
the
in a
only
room
one
with
that thinks
pedophiles?
some way doesn't mean you're wrong.
I had a English teacher my freshman year, and she said, write a essay opposite of what you think, and make it a convincing statement. So I wrote about men are smarter than women, and this is why. And she said, executed perfect, no punctuation or grammar errors, but you get a C for content. And I'm like, well, hold on. The subject was taking the opposite point of view of what I believe in. And she said, yeah, but this one could be your point of view. And I'm like, well, that's not what the assignment was.
Yeah, so I don't know. Well, I mean, sometimes I wonder if it will. I mean, were we wrong the way I was brought up?
The code in that was she doesn't reward kiss ass. She realized she's like the fifth person that does that every class. So
Yeah. I mean, even growing up, when I was in English school, I got caned for misbehaving. You know, I'd be made to stand in the corner. You know those big eraser pads where they erase the chalkboard? I've had one of those thrown up the side of my head. You know, for talking in class. I turned out okay.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, well, I don't know if you ever. I don't think it's about beating kids, though.
Yeah. I even had my I had one teacher that if you misbehaved, she made you stick your hand out, palm up, and she would hit across your fingers with a ruler.
Oh, do you go to Catholic school?
This is my English school I went to.
That sounds like a Catholic school thing.
Yeah.
I think it brings up a point, though. You know, there used to be more discipline, whether you agree with how it took place or whether, you know, even to the, you know, you would consider that acceptable or how it was done is another story. But there used to be discipline where it seems like now the last 15 years, you know, with my kids, in a sense, a lot of parents, you know, their kids would run around acting like animals, and the most they'd ever do is sit there and talk to them, you know, very softly while their kids scream and try to smack them and all types of stuff. To me, that just blew my mind.
And a lot of that comes from the parents, too.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, and so that kid, when the girlfriend tells him no, what's he do? He freaks out, and society says it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, there's no accountability for actions, you know. It's gotten to the point now where these kids have kids, and so when you have an issue at a school or something, that's who's showing up. So that's to me, that's the core stem of the problem. It's just the lack of values, and then that would stem through business, through schools, through our government, because of who we're actually electing in, because we know better. But
yeah, we were when we got paddled. When you went home, you got paddled a second time or spanked a second time for.
Oh yeah,
but,
yeah.
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of times you just had to respect not to do that. You might want to, but out of respect for your parents, for your name or something like that, you're not going to treat a girl that way, or you're not going to do something like that. But now, nobody cares.
My sister-in-law, she tells her kids how stupid the teacher is. You know, when they get in trouble.
Yeah, that's so wrong.
Yeah,
a lot of the problem is
respect. Nobody, people are that's why people don't. I mean, there's no respect. They don't respect like the police. I'm not saying the police are angels, but you understand what I'm saying. People in like teachers, police, doctors. Back to what I was saying is respect for these kind of people. It's not taught anymore.
Well, respect's got to go two ways when it comes to people, and unfortunately, when you have a lack of values, that system fails.
Yeah, well,
I would say some of it too is, I know me and Squib have argued about this on this channel before, but you have a pretty bottom percentage of people becoming teachers anymore because there's no money in it. Whatever you think a lot of money is for the amount of work you go through to a degree to become a teacher. The reason I'm not a teacher right now is because I make more money driving truck than I do teaching, than I would teaching.
I don't know how much teachers earn, so
depends on your district, but
yeah,
I think teachers here probably average 55, 60,000 here in Atlanta. Yeah.
That's probably pretty close to what they average around here. Like I said, I make more money driving truck than I would as a school teacher.
A lot of these teachers have, masters of education, and they get, extra 12,000 for that. And, once you get the PhD, you get extra 25,000 for that on top of the master.
Very few high school teachers have a PhD. Maybe the principal or the vice principal. Very few have a PhD because that costs a crap ton of money to get a PhD. And if you went through that process, you're doing more than just teaching usually.
Yeah, but every principal here has a PhD.
Yeah, which is good, actually. I would want my principal, the person heading up, what gets taught and stuff, to have a doctorate of education.
well, that's the thought. I mean, are they being brainwashed by the Marxists as well to get that degree?
What's going on at most of the colleges? Pretty safe bet.
Gee whiz, because I assume teachers make a few $100,000 a school year.
No, there's people that do. I'm not being smart. I know G-Webs is being a little bit of a smart ass there, but there's a lot of people that think every teacher makes huge money, and they don't.
I know the average teacher, like in Rhode Island, was about $80,000 a year. But the cost of living is a lot higher in England too.
Yep.
You're talking about where the cost of living is. A lot of people will cite places like Pennsylvania. I've seen stuff. I live in PA. They'll cite, teacher salaries. Well, they'll cite this many teachers make six figures. Well, you're talking about the majority of teachers are in like Philly or Pittsburgh, big city areas where the cost of living is enormously higher than it is in the rural areas. In the rural areas, they don't make jack shit, Yeah. So the people that are there are, I'm not saying I'm not saying that the majority of teachers are bad at what they do or anything. I'm just saying that you're not garnering the creme de la creme of students to become teachers. There's no way. You're garnering the people that are kind of floating their way through college. Believe me, I know this because I went to college and I thought about becoming a teacher, and I was not the creme de la creme of college. I did not exactly apply myself.
Yeah. Society we put a lot on teachers for what teachers do, which we should be doing as parents.
Well, and that's the thing too. You've cut budgets across the country. I'm sorry, I won't interrupt too far, but you cut budgets for school districts across the country to where you've got 30 to 35 kids in a classroom. You can't even be effective with that. I mean, you can't effectively teach that many kids.
We got we got teacher unions that are making sure that all teachers, especially the older you are, the more you're being paid versus merit paid. Basically, making sure your kids are learning to read and write and math and certain scores. They should be given bonuses that way, but the teacher unions keep them from doing that. And they're the same government unions that protect the bad policemen are the same type of unions that protect the bad teachers.
I would agree with that, actually.
No, I agree with that.
I don't think we should have any public sector union, because all they do is, give to the Democratic Party, who ensures that they get more money next year for a bigger budget, and then they give back. I mean, they gave 2 teacher unions gave more than $40 billion to Biden or to Democrat causes, last year. I mean, it's just unreal amount of money, and that's our money, and there's teachers that don't agree with the Democrat platform as well.
Yeah, you're right.
So what Rick was saying a second ago is, people do put too much on the schools as well. I think that, like you're saying, the schools are a whole other issue as well as the union.
Yeah, they use schools like an all day daycare center.
It's not a school's job to feed you. I mean, I think that's even ridiculous. And COVID here, where the schools are closed and people are going out of their way to drive food around. Why? So the parents can lay in their plain bed, so they can, spend that food money getting high or drinking their beer or going to do whatever. That's stupid. I don't understand why we're going out of the way or people are going out of the way to feed kids. If that's the case, that sounds like a CPS case. And the same thing with clothing. Here in the north, kids come to school all the time. They get dropped off with their parents wearing a coat in a nice car or something, and the kids show up with no coat. And, so some kids don't want to wear a coat. Well, too damn bad. You're a kid. It's, below zero, you're wearing a coat. What if there's a fire drill? You make your kid wear a damn coat. Other people, the kid just don't have a coat, and they don't care. The school gives them a coat. The next day, the coat's gone. Parents took it. Somebody sold it. Whatever the case. Like, that's what they tell the nurse when they get called in again. And you got to be able to teach your kids the general basics in life before they go to school. It's the same thing with going out to eat. You do all that yelling and screaming before you take your kids out. You don't need to be out there being an idiot in public and making a fool out of it.
I honestly think this COVID thing is going to show a couple things with the whole school system, because we had the lockdown the end of last year where schools were closed. I would be amazed if we don't end up with schools closed because of worrying about lawsuits when kids start getting COVID, because they're going to, because it's going to be here. So I really am going to be surprised, because most parents do not take an active role in their kids' education, like help them with their homework or anything, and you're expecting them to help them with actual schooling and paying attention over a Zoom or something like that. I mean, it's going to be tough.
Wasn't it in Pennsylvania that a child was, they saw a gun in the background of a Zoom picture and sent the police in to take away the guns from the kids?
Yeah.
I don't remember that in PA, but it could have been. I honestly just didn't see that thing. That'd be bad for my house, because I carry a gun around the house.
Yeah, well.
But you know what I'm saying? It's going to be interesting, because I'm talking from somebody. I had 2 parents that were teachers that are both retired and long retired now, but I can only imagine the stuff that would happen today. Like, my mom taught at a somewhat inner city school. Like, probably 30% of the kids that she had wouldn't have breakfast if they wouldn't have offered breakfast at that school. Like, they ate breakfast and lunch, and that's what they ate that day, let alone have parents that are actually involved in the kids' schooling. So I don't know how that's going to work out,
Yeah.
Their parents got an iPhone now.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, I don't know what to do about that situation. I really don't. And one hand tells me the parents should be taking care of that child, but the parents aren't taking care of that child. So the school has to take care of them, which I think is wrong. That's not what schools are for.
It's not supposed to be what schools are for, but what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you let children just, go by the wayside and not get an education and not have food? I mean, that's where we're at this point.
Re-educate the public on parenting. Make that the campaign. Reinstore American values. And, figuring out who you are before you become your boyfriend's slave, or vice versa. Live your life a little bit. Be able to provide for a child. Know what you're doing before you do it. There's a lot that could have been put out there, but it all stems back to the first step, which is in the home.
It all comes back to personal responsibility, which is something the country was founded on. But you have to take responsibility for yourself first.
Yep.
People don't want personal responsibility. That's the problem.
Everybody's not meant to go to college. I mean, people don't want to admit it, but some kids are dumb as a box of rocks. As far as book wise or whatever the case. But they might be a genius in other areas. So I mean, everybody, if you're not going to college, you're an idiot. Well, there's a lot of people who went to trade schools that are doing a hell of a lot better than people that went to college working at Walmart. So it depends. It's not always ideal for everybody, but the system continues to push this way.
Well, I'll go in that category. I did really good in school until I got to college, and then I didn't give a shit anymore.
G-Web says, if the state wants more time with your kid and they decide to start offering breakfast, so the parents say, okay, are they bad parents?
They've been providing breakfast since I was in school, 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it all has to do with that. And that's because in today's society, it's been going on 40, 50 years, right? It's very hard going back to family values. I'm not saying it has to be the wife. One parent should be at home. Those parents have to work to make ends meet.
It used to be seen as shameful to take assistance, to take help for your kid standing in the free food line. You would go out your way to avoid that. You would skip lunch to make sure your kid didn't. But now it's almost flipped the other way, where it's like, well, shit, it's free. I might as well get it. Got to get my slice, and why should I bother? Everybody else does it anyway. So,
when I lived in
same thing with welfare.
When I lived in Czech Republic, there was a communist saying, if you're not stealing from the government or taking from the government, you're stealing from your family.
I think that's taken effect in at least the urban areas.
Yeah, kind of backwards.
Yeah. Anyway, let me before we start losing people, it's 4:15 almost. Let's do the who has that cute little doggy? Sabrina wants to know in the background.
Oh, that's me. Hold on, I'll put her on camera. Come here. We're playing ball, and she gets upset when I lose the ball. There she is. That's the noisemaker.
That's a Yorkie, isn't it?
It's part Yorkie and part Pomeranian.
Okay.
So it's a Porky.
All right. My question for last week, it's a 2-week question, was what I originally asked for. I wanted to know what the armament was on the Boeing B-29 Super Fortress. And I had a couple of where's my I've lost my thing here. Where is it? The B-29 had, was it 10 50 cal M2 machine guns and remote turrets, 2 in the front dorsal, 2 in the rear dorsal, 2 in the chin turret, and 2 in the belly turret, and 2 in the tail, along with a 20-millimeter cannon. Now, the B-29A had the same thing, except it had the 20-millimeter cannon removed. So if you gave me either one of those, it was correct. And I had, hang on, where's my thing here? Let me find it. I had 1, 2, 3, 4 entries. So you all got 25% chance of winning. So let me hit the draw now button. And it's Sean Connery is the winner.
Oh, rigged.
Hey, I mean, it's a random picker. It's a website I use. Yeah. So sorry about that, but Sean won. So I don't know he's in here today. You know, a lot of people don't come in anymore. I think they're mad at us. I mean, I haven't seen Squib in here for weeks. You know?
Dude, where is Squib? Usually I argue with him.
I know he hasn't been in here for weeks. I think he's mad at me or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. Usually I'm the bleeding heart and Squib argues with me.
Okay. Okay. This week's question. 3 parts to it. And that's for a swag pack. And the question is, actually, it shouldn't be that hard. And I might have used this question in a slightly different variation before, a year or two ago. But it's to do with the Die Hard movies. Right? Oh, Bruce Willis. I want to know what gun, make and model did he use in the very first Die Hard? Right? What's the word I'm looking for? What model was it adapted from? And what was the original pistol designed for? And what did it win?
Damn, right.
So I want to know what model of pistol he had. That was his sort of like go-to firearm. What was it adapted from? And what was that pistol designed for? What it was? I'm giving you a clue here. What it was designed for, it won. You know. So that's my 3-part question for a swag pack. Well, I mean, you're getting some cool shit here. You're getting stickers and patches. You know. So
history lesson like that, I think you'd be giving away a gun.
At gmail.com or spottedrick@gmail.com. So there we go. That's the quiz. Get it to me here by Saturday. And you can be in a chance for the swag pack. Of course, I will repeat the question on Wednesday night like I normally do. Oh, John Brown Production said, no, the upper forward turret had 4 guns. Do your research. I might have read it wrong. But I know whoever put it in, my 4 entries were right. I know that much. Like I read them all. So there we go. You guys got anything else? You got any other topics you want to go over while we're here? You know?
I'll just reply to something that G-Web said.
Okay.
Said, were all the kids starving to death till the schools fed them, or did the schools decide they knew better? I will say that when your primary focus is crack, yeah, they didn't give a shit whether their kids starved to death or not, which is why that whole program kind of started up here. Now, I don't know about other places in the country, but yeah, there was a problem with that in the inner cities around here back when that program started.
Now, there you go. That's why it started, you know? And I think it's sad that as great as this country is, it's sad that there's parts of the country, parts of the inner city, that happens still in today's age. You know, but so in some ways, I personally don't feel a school and a school teacher, it's not a daycare center. It's there for kids to learn. But then again, as you said, if parents aren't taking care of their kids,
if parents can't even provide the basic necessities for life for a kid, yeah, you got an issue.
Yeah, exactly.
That needs to be solved. And I don't know. I don't want to say government's the right issue to resolve that, but because government has proved to fuck up everything they've ever tried to resolve. But I'm just saying, there's got to be something done there. You can't just let children friggin' starve, you know.
There's consequences to actions, and grandparents can just automatically raise the grandkids so their kids can run around and continue to be a dumbass. Then people may learn from that, and we wouldn't be here.
Wasn't Camilla Harris jailing parents for their kids not going to school for truancy?
Geez, I hope so. That actually would be something I might agree with her with. Damn, don't say that.
Yeah, she's backtracked on that.
Oh, okay. Damn. It's sad. There's one thing I might actually agree with her on.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. So, anyway, we've talked about this. What we got? 41 days or 49 days to the election? Is it 49? Or am I getting ahead of myself here? I know it ain't far.
I thought it was still 50-something. I might be wrong.
It could be. It could be. Okay, hang on. What is it? This. Okay, so we got 31 days in October, and it's November the 3rd, right?
Right. So that's 34 days.
Yeah, and today is September the 12th.
12.
So you don't count today. So we got what? 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 and 34.
42.
There you go.
Hold on, 52. 52.
52.
18 to, yeah, you're right.
Yes, 52. I was wrong. I was getting ahead of myself. Oh, I just remembered. Election day will be I got to work it out. My 23rd year of sobriety, November the 3rd. I think it's 23. I got sober in 97. So,
congratulations.
So I think it's 23 years, isn't it? 97 to 20. Yeah. Yeah, it is. So there we go. All right. Anything else? Before we go through the panel and do our G-Web said, imagine if they got the local restaurants together, what they could come up with to feed kids. Probably have an element of volunteer and job skills training involved. Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Yeah, it would. It's never happened yet, though.
Still a crutch in a sense, where you're taking responsibility.
It is. Well, what do we do?
Do something.
Take the kids away from the parents and put them in a home and feed them that way?
Kids are being fed. I read about policemen are delivering meals. All kinds of state employees are delivering meals.
Yeah, but the point of it is we're still paying for it with our tax dollars, whether it's at school or whether you do it that way. And G's got the idea of not doing it with tax dollars, but I've never seen it happen.
No, and it won't. Because if it started, the government will want to take it over and fuck it up. So Look, I mean, the government's getting bigger and bigger, guys, and it's not meant to be. You know? Did you? Oh, I know what I want to talk about. I forgot to talk about this, but did you see that? Read about that court case in the Ninth Circuit where the case was Mai against the U.S. The guy, he was from Cambodia, I believe. He was brought over here when he was 2 years old, and when he was 17, he was involuntarily committed to a hospital because the court determined he posed a danger to himself and others. Well, he spent 9 months in the institution, but over the last 20 years, he's earned his high school diploma, bachelor's degree, master's degree. He's a husband, a father, has never had trouble with the law, and has never suffered another mental issue. But he can't have a firearm because of that involuntary commitment back in '99. So he filed a lawsuit saying that that's wrong. And the Ninth Circuit said, hang on, where they put it there? Oh, they said he had no claim for relief because, where is it now? Because despite that the federal law allows for the resumption of Second Amendment rights, Congress has prohibited the use of funds to investigate or act upon applications for relief from federal firearm disabilities. So that leaves him without any way to get his rights back. But there was two judges. It was a what? Not 7-2 or something like that. Two judges said that's bullshit. So I was just reading that. I saw that earlier today, and I thought, So two judges gave a blistering dissent. I found this on Bear in Arms, by the way, if anybody wants to read the article. But I was kind of fascinated with that. I thought that's pretty cool. Or cool that not that he got denied, but that the government says, yes, you can get your rights back, but we're not funding the work to get it done. That's asinine, but that's how our government works.
Well, that goes down to another point of it. I don't know what his situation is, but I know you can get your rights back on that because I know an attorney that specializes in that kind of law.
There was a guy out in California that they did a red flag against, and the city said so they sent him to a psychiatrist. He basically said he went to a psychiatrist session, and they said he was in the wrong office and he had to drive 40 minutes through traffic to the other side of town. And he said, boy, that just makes you want to kill yourself. So they took all his guns, and so he went to go get them back. He went through, and the psychiatrist said he has no intention of endangering himself or others. But they said since he was never committed and never released from being committed, then he never could get his guns back. So it's damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Well, that's the problem with red flag laws right there.
Yeah.
And that was a stupid thing to say.
It is.
In this day and age, I mean, that's just common sense. And in that particular office, that's just pretty dumb. Not saying it's right, but that's just pretty dumb.
Yeah. That's dumb at all parts, though. Why would he say that? That's kind of a dumb thing to say anyway.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm going to wind this up because one of my cats here is down there scratching the shit out of my leg.
Uh-oh.
It's dinner time for him. So I'm going to wind this up. The New York Outcasts, you got any plugs or shout outs?
No, just thanks for joining us, and have a great day, everybody.
And I appreciate you being here. I always enjoy your input. Will and well armed. Any shout out or plugs?
Yep, thanks for inviting me, Rick. And I'll do a video tomorrow. It'll be on the smart drive. It propels your wheelchair. You control it with a little handheld bracelet. You click on your wheel to go faster or slower. Anyway, I've got, I don't know how many miles on it, probably 500 miles on it. I had to replace the wheel, so part of the video is maintenance and replacing of the 16 casters.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Black Cat Outdoors, you got anything?
I'll just promote. We got a 2A rally coming up in PA September 29th. And check out everybody on the panel here. Go check out their content. I know everybody here does some good stuff. So have a good one.
All right. Oh, G-Web says hashtag no meat cow meat cut of the week. No, I haven't done a cut of the week for ages. I tell you what you should watch. If you want to learn about meat cutting or about cuts of meat, is go to the YouTube channel, The Bearded Butchers. They are fantastic. They really are. You know, I mean, they show you how to do everything, where it comes from. They even sell it to you too and ship it to you. So,
Did they wear a beard in that?
you know, but I don't know if anybody you guys watch it. They're in Ohio. The actual name of their business is White Feathered Meats, but the actual YouTube channel is called The Bearded Butchers. So, you got to check them out. And I'm not getting paid for that for plugging them either. I guess because I'm an old meat guy, I find it fascinating watching people do it. What I used to do for years, you know. So, all right. I want to say thank you to everybody for being here. I really do appreciate it. For you stopping by in the chat on your Saturday afternoon. I really do appreciate it. And I will be back on Wednesday at 7 p.m. with Student with Disabilities. So, I want to say thank you, and we will see you all later. So, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be. So, goodbye. See you, Sabrina. That's it.